Steve, good morning.
Morning.
What about your injuries, first of all? How are you looking?
Well, unfortunately, Dawson and Alex, have not made it, but which I think was normal. Snodgrass is okay, so he comes straight back into the squad. After that, everybody's okay.
What sort of selection dilemmas do you have for this one?
Well, when you get beat, the first thing you look at is, did you pick the right team? Did you do? And when you lose, of course, you pick the wrong one. But you know, at the end of the day, last week, when you analyse it and you come away from it, unfortunately, we've made mistakes for their goals, and we've created enough chances to win 2 games and haven't taken them. And unfortunately, that mixture ends up in one of them horrible afternoons, what we all want to forget. But as I've said repeatedly, the great thing about football is there's another game now on the horizon. We've now got to focus on to Burnley and make sure now that we're ready for the challenge ahead, which is we're nearly getting to the halfway. That's all it is. We've got ourselves in a good position. We'd like to be a little bit higher in terms of points. However, 41 points from 22 games is a very, very decent return. You know, we're probably 2-3 points short of where we would like to be. So that's the object of the second half of the season. We've got to have much of the same. And can we improve? And can we go on a run where it really matters? And obviously in the new year.
What significance do you place on this Burnley game then?
Well, it's only the halfway stage, so look, they're a very good side, and we know them. They mirror the manager, hard-working, resilient, tough, difficult to play against, difficult to beat, will be a handful. They've bought well. They've lost a couple of players, which is inevitable, but they've bought really, really well. And the boy Loughton and the kid that took from Chesterfield, and of course Andre Gray, the centre forward, is pulling up trees for them. So they've recruited very, very well. They're an established team. They're a good side. Weren't quite good enough to stay in the division like ourselves last year, but have bouncing back to try and come back like we are. So all to play for. Should be a fascinating game and a good game to look forward to at Boxing Day.
Why do you think they've been such difficult opponents for you in recent times?
Well, I'm not going to go back in history. I'm going to go over the 3.5 years I've had here. I know we've lost back-to-back games at home. We produced one of our worst performances in the Premier League up there. I remember, but the year before, Quinny, I remember scoring a goal. So I'm not really wanting to what's happened in the past. They're difficult opponents because they're a good side. They've got they sailed the championship 2 years ago. They were the outstanding team in it. Last year they put up a hell of a fist of trying to stay in the Premier League. Didn't quite make it, but they've held on to the nucleus. And as I've said, recruited very, very wisely, spent wisely, invested in a centre forward when they've lost Ings, which was always going to be difficult for them. So you have to say over the years, the last 2-3 years, you have to take your hat off to Sean and Burnley in particular, the club. They've done very, very well.
What about Christmas for your players? Will you be giving them Christmas Day off?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean it's a grueling schedule. It's a grueling schedule, and we're preparing. We were in last Sunday, we're in last Monday. We haven't had a day off as such yet. We're in today, we're in tomorrow. So it's in me thoughts to give them the day off, because I think like everybody else, they like to be with their family. A lot of them have got young children where they want to enjoy their children. So, I don't think there's any reason or any thoughts of, well, you can't give them a day off before the game. It's happened over the years, which I've got no problems with.
After the Rotherham defeat, the mental strength of your players was questioned by some people. Are you convinced your players have got the mental strength to...
I don't really listen to all that crap, to be perfectly honest. Mental strength and all this, that, and the other. Look, we made mistakes. We made mistakes against Rotherham. I'll give you that. And when you've got young players in your team, unfortunately, it's the downside. It's the downside of what a young player does. You have to learn that they make mistakes. And unfortunately, our young players last week made mistakes defensively. And Juba, unfortunately for him, didn't take the chances that he got. Now, they'll all learn from that. They'll get better from that. On another day, Chuba's could have scored 5. He could have scored a couple of times against Reading in the week. He might have scored against Leeds, the Bristol City. late chances he had. That's something that he has to obviously improve on. But he's young. That's what he's here for. He's 19-year-old to learn his trade. Now, we have to embrace that because that's why he is here. And as I said, part of the downside of a young player is that they do make a mistake. You've got to encourage them, make them learn from it, and of course, stop it. You know, that's the key to it. Good players and top players, week in and week out, don't make mistakes. That's what makes a really good player, especially defensively. So they'll learn from it, I'm sure, and crack on.
3 games across 7 days. What's your points expectation for that period?
Well, our points expectation is what we're expecting at the moment. We're heading, trying for 2 points a game is usually enough. If we can get 6 points, if we can get more than that, then of course that would be terrific. I think that's always got to be the aim when you're pushing like we are. You have to say congratulations to Middlesbrough and Derby, because obviously the points total that they've got coming into halfway is quite remarkable. I mean, you know, when we went up 3 years ago, I think we went up with 79 points. That's not going to be anywhere near, I wouldn't have thought. But the form of the top teams and ourselves in there too has been for everybody to see. So will the second half of the season be like that? I doubt it, because when the tickly bit starts, then there'll be a few strange results. We've got to make sure that we stay there. As I've said, we're halfway there. Big important period coming up. And then it was something we can look forward to.
Can you bring us up to speed, please, on contract talks with your players? At what stage are you at with that?
Well, there has been negotiations with a few of the players. But as I've said repeatedly, it's very, very difficult. When you're usually talking with contracts, you're usually trying to give people pay increases. If you were discussing your contract now, you wouldn't be wanting to take less money, would you? No. So that is a consideration that we've got to. We'd like them to stay. We certainly, there's 3, 4, 5 people who are a contract. We want them to stay. But the difficulty for the club and the juggling act we've got to do is, if, for example, we're in the Championship next year, then the harsh reality is we can't afford to pay them what they're earning now. So I think most people understand that. Certainly, I'm sure the players do too. You know, we have to adhere to financial fair play, to all the regulations that is now set out in the Football League. We've seen many clubs on transfer embargoes basically because they've spent too much. So we have to balance the books. You know, we haven't got the huge parachute payment as big as what we've got next year. So all of them things taken into consideration, we're trying to edge towards trying to offer people new contracts with security and as a reward for what they've done here. But we've also got to measure that also of the financial situation, which obviously if we don't get up this year, then is going to change from year to year from then on.
Can you confirm which players you're talking to?
All of them. All of them who are out of contract.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Just one from me, Steve, one final
one,
which is busy time, and I know that some of the players at hospital yesterday, some more out in the community today, and I just wondered if you had a sort of Christmas message, if you will, to your fans. What would you say?
Well, I mean, listen, to the supporters, since I've been here for 3.5 years, have always been fantastic towards myself. At this particular moment, of course, you want to wish them all a Merry Christmas. I hope they come on Boxing Day in their thousands, like I know they will do, and like they have done over the years since I've been here. So keep supporting the team. Their support is going to be invaluable. You know, we took 3,000 practically to Rotherham last week, and I've been at other clubs where, with the result we've had, would have been ripping the stand down. You know, they're a very, very loyal and faithful set towards the club, and for all of them, all Hull fans, you'd like to wish them a very, very happy Christmas and an even better New Year.